If you are a lover of coming-of-age stories, you've probably heard of The Edge of 17, starring Haley Steinfeld. It was met with great reviews right out of the gate. It's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think... Pretend that didn't happen. I'm pretty sure that the popcorn meter, which is the way that guests or, like, movie watchers rate it, is in, like, the high 80s, or, like, the mid to high 80s, and then it has, like, an overall 4.4-star rating on, like, Google reviews. And this movie really deals with the complexities of teenage friendship and, like, mental health specifically. And it also deals with, like, family dynamics and just... This girl does not get along with her family, and she feels like the world is just, like, taking it out on her. So, it's a really interesting watch. The story really starts when Nadine is in, like, 3rd grade, I believe. And the movie begins with, like, a shot of Nadine not wanting to get out of the car to go to school because people are mean to her there and nobody gets her. And then, like, it pans and her mom's, like, fighting her to get her out of the car. So, like, that just opens up and shows the strained relationship right from the get-go. And Nadine and her father, like, have a really tight-knit bond, and then her older brother Darian is their mom's golden boy. So, it like, pits them against each other from the beginning, but, like, it's not the children's fault, you know? So when Nadine finally decides to get out of the car... Later in that day at recess, she's, like, taking out her anger on a fence with an umbrella, and she meets this sweet little angel who, in her words, she said is dressed like a grandpa. And they become best friends right out the gate. She has a caterpillar, and she's like, do you want to help me feed him? Do you want to be his other mommy with me? And Nadine's never experienced this kindness before. So this is, like, the pivotal moment in her young life where she's like, wow, not everybody's an asshole, you know? Fast forward, Nadine's 13 years old. She's driving in the car with her father. She had gotten into a fight with her mom over something stupid, and she's complaining to him, and she's just in a really bad mood, and then all of a sudden her dad starts, like, singing a Billy Joel song to her, you know? And they're having fun, she's laughing, and then all of a sudden he has a heart attack, and he ends up dying. Evil. So after the hospital scene where it, like, confirms that he is dead, it time jumps to where she is 17 years old, alright? It starts there at school, and Nadine is not very popular, but her brother is, like, the king of the halls, or whatever. He's, like, super popular, everybody loves him, everybody knows him, and one night their mom goes out of town, and she's the first to find out, so she calls Darian, and she's just like, dibs, 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 house is mine, you have to stay somewhere else. So her and her best friend Krista have, like, their own little party, just the two of them, and they end up getting, like, really drunk, and it's no good. Stop. So Nadine ends up getting really drunk and passes out on the floor of her bathroom after, like, violently throwing up, and Chris is like, go to your room, and Nadine just passes out. So when Krista goes downstairs to help Darian clean up, they've never really had a moment like this before, so they end up, like, getting to talking, and then it cuts to the next morning when Nadine wakes up, and she hears giggling coming from her brother's room. So she is, like, crawling on the floor because she's really hungover. She opens the door, finds them in bed together, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, she is completely taken aback. This is so unexpected. Everything's going to shit. Like, it's wild. Nadine, of course, feels betrayed by this. And so she is, like, trying to figure out how to come to terms with it. And after she has a talk with Krista, they decide that the three of them are going to go to a party together to, like, kind of get the feel of things. And then at that party, Krista and Darian kind of just end up abandoning Nadine and leaving her on her own with, like, a complete and total lack of social skills. Her only friend this entire time has been Krista. And so Nadine ends up calling their mom, having her pick them up. And the next morning at school, her and Krista have a run-in, and Nadine is just like, no, you need to pick. You need to choose between us. And Krista is refusing, so Nadine is just like, okay, then there's your choice. like, you've picked him. We're done. We're not friends anymore. And Krista is very frustrated at that. But at the same time, you knew better. You knew better. The rest of the story pretty much follows the trials and tribulations of Nadine going through this and, like, trying to figure out who she is alone as a person. And she's really just, like, discovering herself. And you will definitely be frustrated by all of the very, very poor situations that she puts herself in, and, like, the decisions that she makes. You're just thinking, why are you doing this, girl? But at the same time, you really can't help but, like, pity her, you know? It's unfortunate, but the rest of the movie pretty much follows Nadine going through this and, like, trying to deal with this. And now, instead of her only confidant being Krista, it's her, I believe, her history teacher, played by Woody Harrelson. And if he was a real teacher, he'd be fired on the spot. Like, some of the things he says is crazy. But, you know, the rest of it really just follows Nadine and her struggles with her depression, her feeling of abandonment and betrayal by both her best friend and her brother. Not to even mention, her mother is just completely not on her side throughout any of this. And yes, a lot of the stuff that, if watching it, you see Nadine do all of this stuff, and you're like, why would you do that? But then at the same time, you're like, I understand why you're doing it, but, like, you're ruining your life. You need to stop. You understand why she's making the poor decisions that she's making. And overall, the movie just really explores the throes of being a teenager and a complicated family dynamic. And the film, like, it really captures Nadine's character and her struggles. And, like, the widely accepted opinion is very, very positive. And I gotta say I agree, because it has been compared to other really, really great coming-of-age movies, like Perks of Being a Wallflower, Juno, and Clueless, and, like, much more. And this film is just, it's just so coming-of-age story, and it's beautiful, you know? Caitlin, I promise I will send you the citations, yes.